In a world loaded with information from social media, we look at world issues as numbers. This number of people are living in poverty. This number of people are being hospitalized from COVID. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Growing bigger and bigger, but such numbers can only leave an impact until a certain point. And then you become numb to it. We saw the death toll from COVID go up and up and up, and then one day you don't see it anymore. Not because it's no longer there, but because it's no longer a matter of irregularity or importance to you. Sylvie Rugg and Ajana Madan and Michael Windle from the Department of Psychology at the University of Miami say that the viewing of violent movies led to depressive and anxiety symptoms that diminished with repeated exposure, as well as less empathy and sympathy for the depicted victims. In a nutshell, perpetual exposure to violence and tragedy through media desensitizes. It's like a glass window. There's a world beyond it with people and animals and humans and vibrancy, but you don't feel the fresh air or hear the human laughter. Facts are like glass, letting you see the world visually in your mind, but simultaneously blocking you from feeling any of it. The world outside does matter, though, and we should care about world issues, but if facts can't do it, then what can? My answer to this is direct experience, going out in the real world and exploring for yourself the human side of world issues. So let's go somewhere without glass windows, but this time in a literal sense. Let me tell you a story from when I was 9 years old. I visited a room, and the room had 3 windows, but no glass in the windows, a door frame, but no door, a ceiling, but no fan, which may seem less significant than the previous 2 statements, but is, when the room is located in the slum houses of Mumbai, India, where temperatures reach over 30 degrees Celsius daily, year-round. The doorframe leads to a narrow, unlit corridor, and if you go all the way down the corridor, step outside under the blazing sun, you have a little under an acre of dry, cracked dirt. This is the playground of the small school where my 9-year-old self played tag, sharks and minnows, fetch the bone with 20 or so local kids. We all played as one, laughing, yelling, ignoring the fact that at the end of the day, I would go home to a full meal while they would not. It haunts me, guilt and shame at my privilege, yes, but more haunting is how close I felt to them. How in that moment, we were all the same children rushing to get the flattened ball in the center of our circle, but fast forward a few hours and only one of us would go home to food. That's when I felt true empathy. Fast forward another few years and I'm here in Japan, learning about those same friends as figures in the news or numbers in a Google search. The Cambridge Dictionary defines poverty as the condition of being extremely poor. And worldvision.org says this refers to 719 million humans worldwide. But what does it mean? It means 719 million little girls who smile while running across the playground. Her smile may be older or younger, maybe it's not a her, but a he. Either way, to get lost in statistics is to stop at the 719 million. What we need to see is the humanity in the 719 million humans. The issue with how we approach issues nowadays is that we don't look at the problem. We look at the facts and the statistics. We approach people suffering as if they are objects, wrapping their humanity in layers of severity of symptom, income, number of people in a similar situation. The issue with severity, income, number of people in a similar situation. No wonder then that more and more often we struggle to truly empathize with world issues. No wonder we start to lose the should-be fundamental ability to look at a death toll on the TV screen and feel sad or scared or worried, to just feel. In psychology, this phenomenon can find its roots in something called cognitive dissonance. By definition, according to Oxford Languages, cognitive dissonance is the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude changes. Healthline offers a more comprehensive example of how this works, broken down into 3 simple steps. First, we have our conflict. You feel guilty about eating meat because you consider yourself an animal lover. Next, we have our worked example of cognitive dissonance. You enjoy the taste of meat, but still feel guilty knowing the inhumane conditions of animals. And finally, we have our last step of resolving cognitive dissonance. You opt for cage-free eggs at the supermarket and buy meat alternatives, such as tofu or tempeh. Very simple, very straightforward, right? And yet, many of the people who consider themselves animal lovers, myself, and maybe some of you in the audience too, don't buy cage-free eggs at the supermarket or opt for or practice vegetarianism, veganism, something like it. That's the thing about cognitive dissonance. Research has proven that the state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes doesn't directly lead to an action for the better. In fact, it works the other way. According to psychologist Kate Sweeney from the American Psychological Association, cognitive dissonance often isn't a channel to self-improvement, but rather a motivator to build up barriers to avoid feeling the discomfort that one feels, whether conscious or subconscious. Going back to our example of food consumption, but this time in the context of guilt about high carbon emission foods. A study by researchers and economists, Anna Christina Edinburgh, Carl-Johan Lagervis, and Charles Nordstrom, found that humans will avoid carbon information where possible, rather than face the negative effects their consumption habits are having on the planet. Humans turn away from information they don't like to see. Another study by researchers from the University of Kentucky, Tennessee, and South Carolina found that in the realm of healthcare, overemphasizing the dangers, harmful effects, and struggles of certain diseases and treatments, such as cancer or genetic testing, ends up being, quote, tuned out by readers, viewers, and listeners who simply would rather not know. Tuned out doesn't mean you can't hear it, but you choose not to listen to it. Turning away from something doesn't always mean having your back to it, but you choose not to confront it. And I like to think of this as the glass window between feeling and caring about our world today. You see through a glass window, but you don't feel the world beyond it. So how does one break that glass window in a world constantly bombarded with reinforcements in the form of facts and statistics? You can't beat psychology. You can't beat the hardwired genetics of how your brain and emotions work. Instead, we have to leverage the empathy we can build for individuals and humans, reframing the way we look at world issues to shed all those facts and statistics, at least for a moment. So let's reframe the way we think. Think of your brain like this spotlight. Right now it's focusing here, so you can see me in detail, hopefully keeping your attention. But if the spotlight were to expand, you wouldn't be as concentrated here. Instead, you would see the stage, the people at the front of the audience, the curtains. So when it comes to world issues, keep the spotlight trained on the people it affects. It's hard, and not necessarily something that just comes like that, but there's one simple step for everyone to try. Direct service. Direct service, volunteering at a food bank, hospital, whatever it is, allows you to interact with humans instead of numbers. That's why my direct experience has left a mark on me all those years since that day in Mumbai. When you're around human laughter and smiles and voices, that ability to empathize comes naturally. Direct service bonds through empathy. People, humans, us, not news headlines or lines on a bar graph, but humans can connect through direct service and empathize. And that is when the glass window is broken. Thank you.